Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. Happy Thursday. I'm so excited to share with you today my favorite homeschool curriculum for the elementary school grades. So if you are interested in learning more about what we do in our homeschool and what books we use for the elementary kids, then stay tuned. For core curriculum, I have been using Heart of Dakota for several years now. Heart of Dakota is a Christian-based curriculum, and it does all of the work for you in terms of lesson plans. So you have one side that is just history, learning through history, and it includes your Bible and your science activity or art. And then on this side, you would have your core subjects like reading, language, and math. The reason why I love this curriculum so much is because if you have several students that are close in age, like I do, you can use this as like your foundation point to what you're going to do that day. And so the way I like to use this book is I like to use it as my foundation. So I will use the history resource and do some vocabulary. I love the music. The Bible's great. We might do some poetry, but all the poems are in the back of the book. And then when you come over here, you don't have to do the language that they suggest or the math or the science, but it's there if you want it. And so all of the spelling tests and lists are in the back of the book. Here's an example of one of the poems. And then you have spelling list back here and vocabulary. And all of it is very interactive. So, sorry, got a little bit of coffee on this page. But it's awesome because you can have a child who's like 6, and then you have one that's 7 or 8, and you can mesh them together. And so one of them can do like the math for a first grader, and one can do math for a second grader, but the lesson plans for both are already included in this daily curriculum. And some of the books only do 4 days a week instead of 5, which I like too. So I've done that for all of my elementary kids, and they have several different books. So this one is for the older elementary kids. This one is for 5 to 7. This one's for 7 to 9. And then if you guys are interested in that, I will link the website in the description below, so you can order and just kind of get a feel for what Heart of Dakota is really like. All right, so my favorite subject to teach and to learn about is history. And it is so fun to learn alongside your child, especially in those early years when they're just little sponges and they love to soak up all these stories and facts and the adventures that we go on learning about history. So what I love to use for kindergartners is called History for Little Pilgrims. This book is really colorful. It's big print, and they have little unit reviews after the end of each chapter, a few words to know, so you can go over some vocab at the same time with your child. And it's all Bible-based, and each chapter starts with a timeline. So you can kind of, visually show your child where in history we're talking about. I love this book, and I will link it in the description below as well. Some extra history books that I just use supplementally. Boys and Girls of Colonial Days, really good book to read to your child with just stories about life back when our country was being born. So it's a great book. Pioneer Sampler, also a great book. Really fun glossy pages, and they will show you what life was like back in the pioneer days. There's even recipes in here and such, so we really love that one. I use that one occasionally. Here's 3 more that I love. I love History Stories for Children, Stories of Great Americans, and A First Book in American History. And my absolute favorite for like the younger elementary kids is American Pioneers and Patriots. This book goes from the beginning of our nation all the way to the Transcontinental Railroad. There are colored pages. It is easy to read to them or have them read out loud to you. And it's just a beautiful book, and my kids have always loved that book. So that's our history that we love. All right, for science, I have some for early elementary and then some for upper elementary. So what I use for kindergarten for 2nd grade, we use the God's Creation series. So there's The World God Made and God's Wonderful Works and Our Father's World. And these books are pretty thin, but they have colorful pages, really large font, so it's easy for them to read. And it also comes with some ideas for experiments to do and such. So we really love those as like a branching off point to getting the kids' feet wet into loving learning about science. And then for the older grades, about, I would say, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th grades, we use Apologia, the Young Explorer series. This one is Exploring Creation with Astronomy. And then they come with, well, you can buy this separately, but if you want the journal, there's a notebooking journal for older kids, and then they have one that's junior. I have several of those as well. I just didn't pull it out right now, but there is copy work in these, so you don't need separate copy work. There is all of your activities, the cutouts and everything are in the back of the book, so there's no additional materials needed except for some scissors and glue sticks. And then there's some crossword puzzles, vocabulary, and there's so many opportunities for them to be creative and to take their own notes about what they have read for that day. So we love Apologia science, and I've used it for all my kids every single year. It's awesome. For math, I have used tons of curriculum in the past. I've done everything from Abeka, which is really, if you've done Abeka before, you know what I mean. It's extremely detailed and it's kind of rigorous. It's a lot of problems to do every day, up to 70 to 100 problems a day. My kids never really liked that. And so I've used Singapore math for the little ones. For the ones that like to do the book work, which isn't many of my kids, but some of them do. So we do these sometimes. If they don't really take to these, we will do Life of Fred. So Life of Fred series. This is like the kindergarten book. If you've never heard of Life of Fred, I encourage you to go to the link in the description box below and kind of, read up on what Fred is all about. Basically, in a nutshell, Fred is a 4-year-old professor at a university, and he teaches math. And it actually will teach the child how Fred applies math to his everyday life. So it's really goofy, it's funny, the stories are really engaging and hilarious, and the work for every day is not called you know, homework. It's called Your Turn to Play. And they're very short for the most part. You might have less than 10 problems a day, but the answers are always on the back. So they're easily accessible for you to check. And all of the books are like about, I would say 13 to 19 lessons long. This one is called Apples, and then you have Butterflies. And then it just keeps going from there. They're fun names like Farming, Honey, Goldfish. There's 8 altogether. So got Jelly Beans, Edgewood, Dogs, Cats. So we have the entire series of those, and some of my younger ones have really just loved starting off doing math work in these books because they're so much fun. So for 3rd grade and up, we use teaching textbooks, and here's an example of what a textbook would look like in the flesh. But we've done our schoolwork this way before in the past, but now my kids do all of their math online. So they have an online program, and the way it works is, since I have 5 children who are doing their program at one time, we pay like a flat rate for the year for 4 or more children, and then they are able to do their work at their leisure. There is no time when it has to be done by. So you can go in and pause it if you go on a vacation or a trip, or you just want to take some time off of school. You have the ability to do that. You also have the ability to push unpause. And so when you get back from that trip or your little break or whatever, you can just get right back in and not lose any of your time. You have a grade book out on there. It takes the grades for you, but it has it so it keeps track of all those things. You can go in there and you can change grades or help your child, like if they want to fix a problem, but they've already submitted the lesson for the day, you can go in there and you can switch it, and if you see that they've done it correctly, which is what I make my kids do, they have to show it to me on paper and show that they've worked it out and they've gotten the correct answer, and then I'll change the grade for them. But they love it. It's very fun. There's a lot of clip art and background choices that they can do for their personal math class that they're in. So it's really convenient and really helpful because I hate teaching math. And finally, for English, we have stumbled upon the Rod and Staff curriculum for English, and this is my teacher's manual for the 2nd grade books. But it's very there's no color in the books, there's no distractions. It's a very good, rich curriculum. It's not too much, it's not too little, and the kids have learned so much using this curriculum. So I recommend this. They will need like a separate sheet of paper to do their work on, like a notebook. However, they also have like booklets that are like practice handouts, and then you can get the tests sent to you as well, so they can take the tests. And so that's what we do for English. And we always do handwriting as well. And so I teach my kids cursive. That is just something that I learned when I was a little kid, and so I think it's important at least that they know how to sign their name. So I know some of the schools are moving away from learning cursive. We still make that a priority. Some of the best handwriting curriculum, I will link in the description box below. I did not bring my books out here for that. They're all in our house. I'm out in our schoolroom which is detached from the house. I just forgot to get those books. So I will link everything that I talked about today in the description box below so that y'all can just do your own research and get a feel for what this curriculum is and how much it costs and just the investment that you'll have to make for it. So that is my favorite elementary curriculum in a nutshell. There's other things that we use as well, like little readers and other things that we just kind of snowball into. I call it snowball homeschooling. So every day, I may have I use the plan that's on the Heart of Dakota book for that day, but we might get into something as we're going along. So if a child asks a question and sparks interest in something while we're doing something else, it might snowball into other things. We might pull out a game that would correspond to that lesson. We might go on a nature walk. We might do some cooking in the kitchen, just learning different skills like sewing and taking care of the animals and whatnot. So it's very freeing to be able to homeschool your child. And I think the biggest advice that I can give to anyone new that is thinking about homeschooling is just to kind of take everything that you have personally learned from attending a regular school and just kind of throw all that out the window. Homeschooling doesn't have to be sitting down all day at a desk and the teacher in front of a whiteboard or a chalkboard. In fact, you don't even need any of those things to homeschool. You can use your kitchen table, you can use the outdoors. So however you see fit to homeschool your child, I just think it's a wonderful freedom to have. And I would encourage you to just kind of peel away at everything that you think school should be and just kind of find your own theme for your schooling your child. So I appreciate all of you watching. Let me know what curriculum you like to use if you're a homeschooler, and if you're thinking about homeschooling, props to you. It is not easy, but it's so rewarding and it's such a special life to live. I just want to encourage you all to just embrace the time that you have with your children and to teach them, even if they go off to regular brick and mortar school every day, to take those times that you have with them and just love learning with them and alongside them. All right, I hope everyone has a wonderful day, and I will see y'all in the next video. Bye.